his discussion with the media earlier today, he got some things right. That doesn't mean in the execution he's going to get things right in fixing the things that are wrong with this team, but it does mean that I think that he's diagnosed correctly at least one area of weakness for this team. We're going to talk about IU. They play in the Peach Bowl tomorrow night, the national semifinals. It's really hard to even say, right? And just not smile about it. The entire state of Indiana, or at least Indiana alums from all over the place, have descended upon Atlanta like locusts. They're everywhere. I got friends down there sending me selfies of them doing not unspeakable things to Oregon stuff, but mocking. It's just mocking the Oregon kind of what they're doing down there, because comparatively nobody has come from Oregon and everybody has come from Indiana. This is our first time at the rodeo. We're really excited about going. Remember when you were a kid, maybe your family took you to Disney World and you're like, hey, this is great the first time. And then you go to Disney World like the 10th time and you're like, oh yeah, Space Mountain. That's what this is like for Indiana. We are going to enjoy the living hell out of this, and we are. And for those alums well-heeled enough to be there early and raise a little hell, do it for all of us, would you? We're going to talk about there's a quote from Curt Cignetti on ESPN.com from the joint press conference. It was he and Dan Lanning. And Cignetti's talking about appearing never to be happy. This is so important, what he said. And we're going to go over that. And it stands in stark contrast to his predecessor. This is why you don't get happy. This is why happiness is weakness for a coach. We're going to talk about that. It's really, really important for coaches who may have been buffaloed into believing that the way the predecessor of Curt Cignetti kind of cavorted about and celebrated every damn thing, every opponent's punt, was like the greatest thing that ever happened. No. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the Pacers tonight. They're at Charlotte. I got a great feeling they're going to win. I can't really explain it, but I do know this, that the money line for that game is plus 154, and that smells like opportunity. This is Inside Indiana Sports Now for Thursday, January 8th, 2026, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. I was over there at their office today. Unbelievable, the amount of smiles, and you would think, right, that there would be people smiling there because they work and are being attended to by the greatest dentist in the history of the world, Dr. Mike O'Neill. Give him a call, 317-849-2933. Ask for Julie. Tell her that Ken told you to call. She'll give you the hookup. You got a hole in your mouth, he's got a hole in his schedule. All right, become a member today. We are less than 48 hours from our next members-only Coffee with Kent. We do it every Saturday morning at about 9 o'clock. I can't wait to do it this week because hopefully at 9 o'clock on Saturday, for those of you who are able and not walking around going, oh my God, way too many celebratory shots. For those of you who aren't in that kind of condition, show up, show out, ask questions. Let's go. We get to ask questions of guys like Chris Ballard. You get to ask questions of us. That's the way it is, or of me. All right, become a subscriber, and you are eligible to win prizes. If you are not a subscriber, you are not eligible. But if you are a subscriber, you are eligible, and it costs nothing to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button. We are just under 500. We went over 24,500 today. We are just under 25,000. At 25,000, we're going to do something spectacular. I still don't know what, but when we hit 25,000, one of our subscribers is going to win one hell of a prize. Not going to be cash because cash is gauche. But I don't know whether it's going to be a trip. I don't know what it's going to be. But when we hit 25,000, we are going to celebrate big time. And one of you subscribers will be the beneficiary of that celebration. All right, we'll do something, right? Maybe we'll have a night out. Everybody gets together. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something spectacular, and we're going to celebrate, okay? Smash that like button. Do it right now. And if you want to make a donation, no big whoop. But make sure and include a comment or a question that elevates the level of discourse on the channel. All right, let's talk about Chris Ballard today and what he had to say. And one of the things that he had to say was that defensive speed has got to be improved. Absolutely. There is Matrix Blood. Welcome to Breakfast Buddy. He's a Breakfast Buddy member, just joined. That is awesome. Good for you. I hope to see you on Saturday. We can get to know each other a little bit better. That'd be nice. Must improve defensive speed. That's really bad news for Zaire Franklin because he's not fast. And a linebacker who is not fast can't cover, and a linebacker who can't cover is a liability on passing downs. Been meaning to do this for a while, LOL. Well, you know what? You did it now. And this was the time for you to do it. And it's the time for anyone to do it. Do it now. Take Matrix Blood, take his example, and make it part of your behavior. It's what we do. We learn from each other here. You've got to get faster on the defensive side of the ball. And the reason that the Colts aren't very fast on the defensive side of the ball, not surprisingly, is because Chris Ballard did not prize speed as a defensive attribute. Like when he drafted cornerbacks, Rock Ya-Sin, not fast. Juju Brents, not fast. I don't know if I think Quincy Wilson was kind of fast. He was just too young. So you didn't have speed because you didn't prize it as a priority. There you go. Same as Bell 23. Welcome, another member. Breakfast, but that's 2 members in the first 6 minutes and 43 seconds of the show. That's unbelievable. Unprecedented, but it shouldn't be. How about this? Yeah, they got to get faster. I don't know how they do it, but they got to get faster. They got to make speed the priority on defense. It's got to be. It's not the only priority. You need lots of different things. Like football character is really important. It is. I know that sounds weak, but it is. You've got to be fast, and you got to be willing to stick your head in there. And if you're not willing to stick your head in there and tackle people, you can't play defense. It's just that easy. You've got to, this is one thing that he said, and it's true, but it's a little philosophical for me. The week after the regular season ends, he said, you've got to embrace the struggle. Pain is a part of life. Suffering doesn't have to be. It's a good thing to relay to you because that's absolutely true. If you're suffering, you know what? Get yourself out of that suffering. The pain is going to be fleeting. All right, you get fired, you suffer some kind of reversal of fortune. It all sucks. Sure it does. But it puts you in a position to attack in some other way. It keeps you from getting comfortable. It's actually a good thing, or it should be. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. You get fired? All right. There's plenty of employers out there. Go get a better job. You've been freed up to do something different. He was asked about his meetings with Carly Ursay-Gordon, and what he said is they sat down last week like 4 times for an hour and a half to 2 hours each time, and he said she wanted to know if I've lost my shimmer or juju. I never heard of an NFL owner asking a general manager or a coach or, frankly, anyone that question. And if somebody asked me right now in my position if I've lost my juju or shimmer, I think I'd giggle. But I'll tell you this, all right? If I had been Chris Ballard and Carly Ursay-Gordon, the owner, one of the owners, you know how it works, she's running the Indianapolis Colts, asked me about losing my shimmer or my juju, I would have said, Brents was waived after camp, so we did lose Juju Brents. And I don't remember any player named Shimmer, but there was a long snapper named Joe Shimko, and he played a little bit for the Cardinals. And I don't know where he is right now, so I didn't lose him because I never really knew where he was. We've got Luke Rhodes, and I like Luke Rhodes as a long snapper. And she would have looked like that. She would have gone. And her mouth would have gone squiggly like in Peanuts cartoons because we would not have been speaking the same language. I don't speak shimmer and I don't speak juju. So whatever that means, you know what? And I kind of get the question, have you lost your love of the job? It's up to you to decide, Carly, whether you have lost your love for him doing his job. It's not up to him to decide. And if you have to ask that question of him, then I think the answer is self-evident. Kwity Paye's a ghost. Kwity Paye will not play anymore on this team. Kwity Paye, 4 sacks and 721 snaps, an 11.4% missed tackle rate. That's completely unacceptable for a guy in his position. He's got to go. Now, his pressure rate was actually better than it's been at any time in his career, but that doesn't get it done. He's got to go. You got to make changes. You have to be cutthroat in your assessment of this team. Have to be. If you're not going to be cutthroat, get the hell out. Well, I like him. I like his family. No. Gone. Goodbye. You're not doing your job. Goodbye. We're going to replace your ass. He also said, and this is absolutely true, he said that you need fuel. You need more fuel on that defensive front. Ding, ding, and ding. You do need more fuel on that defensive front. You got to raise hell. You got to cause chaos. You got to get to the quarterback, or at least make that quarterback move around and make bad decisions before he's ready to make a good one. That's what you got to do on defense. So let's go do that. Yes. Colt's going to have cap room to get this roster at least as close to right as he can. They don't have a first rounder, but what were you going to get? Here are the first rounders that have been taken by Chris Ballard. Now, Tyler Warren, yes, please. I would have taken Tyler Warren. You would have taken Tyler Warren. We all would have taken Tyler Warren. So it's really not a win for Chris Ballard. It was the easiest choice imaginable for Chris Ballard, taking Tyler Warren. But I'm not going to grade him down because he did the right thing that was obvious. Then you've got Latu. All right. Then you got Richardson. Then you've got none. Then you've got Paye. Then you've got none, and you've got none. Then you've got Nelson, and you've got Hooker. How many wins are among those? How many firsts has he hit? Warren, Nelson. And I'm going to grudgingly give him Nelson. When he's traded out of the first round or dealt a first rounder for a player, that's been awesome. So this trade for Sauce Gardner, I'm not ready to throw that in the can and say, nah, you know what, this is a terrible trade. It's not a terrible trade. What the hell are you going to get? Another Latu and another Paye over the next 2 drafts? Give me Sauce. Why is Ballard still employed? This is a really good question, but he didn't answer this question today. He tried to, and maybe he gave us some answers, but he wasn't asked that question directly. It's been asked before. Why are you still here? Why is he still here? Is he's never failed to meet expectations. The expectation for this team preseason was 8-9, 9-8. Season before, 8-9, 9-8. Season before, 8-9, 9-8. 2022, nobody grades against Chris Ballard because of that, because Jim Irsay decided to hire Jeff Saturday as an interim coach when the Colts were 3-5-1 and still kind of fighting a little bit. It's just that Jim Irsay had seen enough. In 2021, nobody had great expectations. They went 9-8. 20, they went to the playoffs. 19, Luck retired 2 weeks before the season began. What the hell are you going to do? 18, they went to the playoffs. In 17, we had no expectations whatsoever. So he's never failed to meet expectations. You look at a guy like Mike McDaniel, right? Gets fired as the coach of the Dolphins. He started out hot, went to the playoffs first 2 seasons. Next 2 seasons, what's he do? He doesn't make the playoffs. So you start big and that's how you get fired. You fail to meet expectations. Ballard has always succeeded in that way, that expectations never got so high that he couldn't meet them. Now, what else is going on? Yeah, more fuel. Buckner is expected to return. Mooney Ward, it sounds pretty iffy whether he's going to be back. 3 concussions this year. You really start, you know what, if you prize your faculties, and you still have your faculties to prize your faculties, you kind of make a business decision at some point. I got all the money I'm ever going to need. I love football, but I love my head too. And I love my family. My family loves me. So I want to be here for my family. So whether Mooney Ward plays or not, that's a personal decision, and we'll see. But DeForest Buckner, they expect to be back. Daniel Jones and the Colts, they both want to extend. They like each other. They're going to the prom. All right. Do you think we cut Kenny Moore and hope Justin Wally stays healthy? That is a great question, Matrix. And that came up during the Chris Ballard conversation. We forget about Justin Wally. Justin Wally is a really good football player. Kenny Moore was not so good this year. Not so good, especially toward the end of the year. Kenny has been in the NFL for a long time. I think you got to look long and hard at the tape and listen to the tape. Don't look at the 23, and don't look at the guy who's awesome and great in the community and a Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. Look at the productivity, because if you don't, you're going to be out. You got to take down the signs in the building that say, to entertain, inspire, and whatever, and unite by winning the right way. No, just win. There is no winning the right way. There's no winning the wrong way, right? There's only winning the right way. The only way to win the right way is to win. So win. And we'll sort it out later whether it's the right way or not. Re-sign Alec Pierce, he said was a priority. And he tiptoed around this answer. Joel Erickson asked it, and he was right to ask it. It was almost out of my mouth. And Joel asked, and Ballard came with, Alec Pierce is this to us. I've always believed in Alec Pierce, blah, blah, blah. When we drafted A.D. Mitchell, he came in, he said, hey, what's that mean for me? I said, it means nothing for you. Of course, it did mean something for him. It was cover in case they didn't know whether they wanted to keep him. And so Pierce, I don't know whether Pierce wants to come back. And I guarantee you, based on the answer that Chris Ballard gave us today, he doesn't know whether Alec Pierce wants to come back. So that's what you got. Colts need to bring him back. I would much rather see him franchised at 27 than have Daniel Jones franchised at 45. Give Daniel Jones a contract and guarantee him a good chunk of money, whatever the franchise tag would be. Chap said that today when we were talking. He said, here's what you do with Jones. You give him a 3-year deal, but you guarantee the 46. And then you're in the same place. Makes total sense, right? Pittman needs to take a cut or go after a cheaper Deebo Samuel. Yeah, Pittman can't get open anymore. Pittman is a really good competitor and a really good teammate. But that doesn't get it done at the wide receiver position. That you can be a good coach doing that. Michael Pittman Jr. has got to be somebody who's going to catch a football, advance the football, get first downs, get touchdowns. Is he that anymore? Is his back bothering him? As the season went on, did that back really start to hurt him? Kent, we need to pad Ward's helmet with flubber. You remember flubber? I do. But flubber, I'm afraid, like flubber is what you put on the bottom of your shoes and it makes you jump out the gym. That's flubber. So if we put that in his helmet, I'm afraid that any kind of concussive moment is going to cause the flubber to press inward on the skull, which could squeeze his head like a grape. We don't need that kind of action. Nobody wants to see that. Anthony Richardson is very, 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 very likely toast. I would be stunned if in training camp next year he is a member of the Indianapolis Colts. So there you go. And why is Ballard still employed? Because his expectations have never been high. IU fans, all behind Ole Miss tonight in the Fiesta Bowl. You don't want to play Miami. Miami's a 3-point favorite, by the way. Ole Miss is the easier team to beat. You don't want to play against Miami because Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor are just badasses on the edge for Miami's defensive line, and you don't want any part of that a week from Monday. So let's go Ole Miss, take care of business. This is one night when the SEC and the Big Ten stand united. We're going to watch and we're going to root for Ole Miss because nobody, Oregon fans, Indiana fans, we do not want to play against Miami. That defensive front is real. Ole Miss, not a walk in the park, but comparatively, a walk in the park. Like I said, Canes are 3.5 or 3-point favorites. Trinidad Chambliss and Kwan Lacey, not bad. Not bad. Ballard and Steichen both made it seem like AR was gone. If we were just looking at it, maybe we'd look at it differently. But being in that room and watching the way their faces just go, they just lose all life when they talk about Anthony Richardson in a way that you know that he isn't going to be here. Colts cut player for lack of production, but Ballard gets to move on for essentially the same thing that has to have the locker room split. That's not a bad point. You know, the players are going to determine, really, it's not Ballard. It's the players are going to determine what happens on the field next year. 17 games, they're going to be the ones that have to figure it out, right? Ballard is just going to kind of assemble the ingredients and hope they fit together nicely, and we'll see if they do. This will be his 10th opportunity. 10 opportunities and 2 wind up successful. You have got to go at that point. You wind up being successful this year, meaning going to the playoffs. You know what? Okay. It should have gone to the playoffs in 21. Should have gone to the playoffs in 23. But shoulda doesn't get it done, does it? No, it doesn't. All right. And IU is still a 3.5-point favorite tomorrow night against this Peach Bowl is going to be interesting. And Oregon is a legitimate foe. So we're going to see what this thing I think Indiana wins this game by between 13 and 17 points. But the ball is shaped funny, and so we're not going to take this for granted. We're not going to take it lightly. We did last week against Bama. You knew if you watched Bama at all that Indiana was the better football team, the more physical football team. And we got to remember that game 3 months ago, almost 3 months ago, in Eugene, Oregon, Indiana won, but Indiana had flaws in that game. Mendoza did not play great. There were 6 false starts. This is a team, Indiana does not beat itself. They had 6 false starts. That's unheard of. That's Oregon being pretty damn good. But I think one of the things that's really going to weigh in Indiana's favor tomorrow night is that this is basically a home game, just like the Rose Bowl was a home game, as Indiana took on Bama. Because the entire state of Indiana is on I-65 right now, or I-69 right now, bombing it down to Atlanta, Georgia. They're going to watch a game tomorrow, and it's going to be 80% Indiana. And this time we're going to be able to see just how much Indiana, because Indiana, red, and Oregon, yellow or green. So we're going to see a stark contrast between the Oregon fans and the Indiana fans. So here's the quote from, I saw Miami -3. If you got 3.5, that's not bad. I would rather, I'd rather have Miami push at 3 than lose at 3.5 if the thing winds up, Miami 27 and Ole Miss 24. I think it's going to 34-31, I think is a better bet. Here's what Curt Cignetti said, and this is a beautiful quote from Curt Cignetti. He's asked about being happy, and he said, there's a lot of times that I'm happy, I just don't show I'm happy. If I'm going to ask my players to play the first game, first play, to play 150, the same, regardless of competitive circumstances, then I can't be seen on the sideline high-fiving people and celebrating, or what's going to happen, right? What's the effect going to be? How many times during the Tom Allen era did I say exactly that? What are you doing, you clod? And so here's the another great comparative between Curt Cignetti and Herb Brooks, who is the coach of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team that won gold and beat the Soviets, and that's been almost 46 years ago. is after games, he didn't go on the ice, yay, chipping his teeth on the helmets of his players, yay. No. He left the bench, went underneath into the vestibule behind the bench, and just sat there and waited for his players. That's what he did. That's what you do. Celebrating is for kids. But coaching, that's got to be done by adults. And we don't get to do that like kids. So good for Curt Cignetti knowing that and not indulging in the stupidity of the momentary glee that you feel when your team gets off the field forcing a punt. I love Curt Cignetti. And so he said, so that's why I am like I am during the game. Damn right. Never be satisfied. If you celebrate, you're satisfied. If you celebrate, you're weak. And if you're celebrating and you're satisfied and you're weak, what's your team going to be? They're going to be satisfied and they're going to be weak. Hey, I did something. Look at that. What? We got to go do it again? Why? What? Ridiculous celebrations by coaches. What are you, nincompoops? What are you, 12 years old? Yeah, show me a happy coach, I'll show you a weak coach. Right? Pacers tonight against Charlotte, in Charlotte. I love this game going to the Pacers. I can't really tell you why. I know Nembhard may not play. I know. Kalkbrenner, I don't think is going to play for the Hornets. Look, except for Colts fan. Yeah, but I still think you got to win eventually. And if not against the Hornets, then against who? Right? Matrix Blood says, I think Harbaugh would have been great for our defense, and we could have brought in a young offensive-minded coach. Man, Kevin Bowen, God love him. We're out of questions, we're out of time. And so Matt Conti, who's the head of media relations for the Colts, says, one more, Kevin Bowen, gives Kevin the last one. And Kevin says, have you spoken to John Harbaugh? And Chris Ballard said, well, he's a friend of mine, and I feel terrible for him, so I did reach out and blah, 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 blah. Shane Steichen is our coach. That is just like Kevin Bowen. Like you guys give the media a lot of crap for asking nonsense questions. I'm telling you, Kevin Bowen does not give a rat's ass about how his question is perceived by the person to whom he asks it, ever. So Kevin Bowen is asking the questions. There are guys in that room asking tough questions. They are. Sometimes they phrase them nicely. They're trying to elicit the answer that you want without, causing people to get up and leave in disgust over the impoliteness or ill-manneredness of the question. But that ain't Kevin Bowen. I was like, holy cow. Good for you, Kevin. KB with a mic drop question of Chris Ballard. Hey, we did get, there's Barstow Media. With it being such a long and unhappy offseason, Kent, how do you keep this fan base enthused? You've done it in the past, but this offseason seems harder. I am up to the challenge. Like, if that's the adversity that I face, a little bit of ambivalence about the Colts, I think I can carry that weight. I think we're going to be all right. We'll talk to you tomorrow, bright and early, breakfast with Kent, right around 7 o'clock. Cannot wait to talk to you then.